I wanted to make a short video here showcasing the different types of brewing vessels. We'll see if it's actually short by the end of this, but I mainly wanted to kind of focus on the Kyusu and how it differs from other brewing vessels. So the Kyusu is the little teapot here, and there's another one in the back here as well, but I'm going to be using this one as the showcase here. So Japanese teas have very fine leaves. So I've got an example here, and let's see, we zoom in on that. So you can see the leaves are really tiny, very fine. And so if you poured this through a Western teapot or either a Chinese teapot or a Gaiwan, which I'll talk a little bit about later, a lot of those tea leaves would just go right through the filter and into your cup, and you'd be annoyingly have to sift through leaves with your lips and tongue and stuff, so that's no good. So the first thing you see about a Kyusu is the side handle, which I'll go over in a second, but really the main feature of a Kyusu and what makes it nice for brewing Japanese teas versus other types of teas is you can see how fine the strainer is that's built into this teapot. So very, very tiny holes. Not many leaves are going to get through that. Some of the residue you can kind of see around there might get through, but whole leaves are probably not going to make it through that filter. So it's really nice for brewing Japanese teas. You don't have to do any extra filtering if you don't want to. And then, of course, it's got the side handle here, so you can hold the teapot with one hand and pour out the water pretty easily by just turning your wrist. Whereas, other teapots, you kind of have to pick it up and turn your whole arm. So this Western teapot, for example, I'm going to bring it a bit closer. Western teapots are kind of characteristically larger, so obviously it's much bulkier than that teapot, and this would be made for, steeping a lot more water to the leaves you're putting in and probably waiting a lot longer. And then, of course, it's kind of hard to turn with just one hand. You kind of want to hold the top on with another hand, and my whole arm has to turn in order to turn the handle here because it's on the back of the teapot. And then if we kind of look inside this, I don't know if we're going to be able to see too well inside of there, but yeah, I think you can see there that the Japanese tea leaves that you saw earlier would probably just slip right through those holes. So if you were going to try and brew a Japanese tea in a teapot like this, you'd have to have another fine mesh filter on top of your cup or something like that, which is perfectly fine as well. And so just another example of a little teapot here. So this is a Chinese teapot. So the Chinese teapots are kind of more similarly sized to the Japanese Kyusus, sometimes even smaller, and it's got the characteristic handle on the back, kind of similar to the Western teapots, and also it's got those larger diameter holes in there as well. So again, if you try to brew Japanese leaves in here, it's going to be kind of a mess pouring out, and you're going to have to filter it with something else. So, we talked a bit about these Japanese leaves, how fine they are. The other brewing vessel I wanted to show you was a Gaiwan here, and I'm actually in the middle of a brewing session here. But this is a Gaiwan, so, typically with the lid on, it would look like this. And a Gaiwan's pretty simple mechanics. Rather than having a spout, you tilt the lid like this, and you would pour it out with one hand, like so, where the filter is essentially just the amount of gap you leave as you tilt the lid. But for Japanese tea leaves, that would be kind of a disaster, probably, with all the leaves pouring out through the gap. So Gaiwans are typically made more for Chinese teas, which tend to have larger leaves here. You can see much larger leaves than the Japanese tea, and that's just the way they're processed. I might make a video on the differences between Japanese tea and Chinese tea processing, but yeah, in any case, hope you found that informative or helpful, and happy brewing.